urologist reveals the most dangerous time of day for older men to masturbate. One mistake took a life at 69. Hello, man, my friend. I want you to hear this not as a doctor preaching from a podium, but as someone who's walked this road beside many men, quietly, respectfully, for over 4 decades. A 69-year-old man was found dead in his bedroom. No, it wasn't a heart attack in his sleep. No fall, no clear sign of trauma. What took him was something far more private, something most folks are too embarrassed to talk about. It was masturbation. Yes, that simple act, the one we've always been told is harmless and normal. And truth be told, most of the time it is. But when you do it matters. And past 60, your body plays by new rules. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, urologist, men's health advocate, and just another aging man who understands what it means to wrestle with your body's changes. I spent my life listening to stories like his and helping others avoid the same fate. In today's conversation, I'm going to walk you through 7 hidden moments during the day when self-pleasure can quietly turn dangerous for older men. These aren't scare tactics. They're clinical realities I've seen unfold in emergency rooms and quiet bedrooms alike. The first time on this list is one most older men believe is the safest, and that's why it's so deadly. So if you or someone you love is navigating this chapter of life alone, stick around. This isn't about shame, it's about wisdom. And sometimes the difference between life and death lies in the timing. Let's talk heart to heart.
Between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., the hidden danger of the morning surge. Let me paint a picture for you. It's early, the sky's still dark. Maybe you've just woken up alone, and your mind drifts towards something familiar, something comforting, self-pleasure. After all, no one's watching. The house is quiet. What harm could it do? But here's what most men over 60 don't realize. This is the most dangerous time of the day for your heart. You see, in the early morning hours, specifically between 4 and 6 a.m., your body goes through something called the morning surge. It's like a biological wake-up call where your blood pressure and heart rate begin to climb rapidly as your system kicks into gear after a long night of rest. Now that surge alone is already a lot for an aging heart. But when you add sexual arousal, which naturally raises your heart rate and blood pressure even higher, you're stacking stress on top of stress. And for someone over 60, with arteries that may be stiffening and a cardiovascular system that isn't as responsive, that combination can be catastrophic. I'm talking heart attack, stroke, sudden fainting. In my practice, I've seen patients, otherwise stable, experience severe cardiac events right after early morning activity. One gentleman, Mr. Devereaux, thought it was a peaceful way to start the day. He never knew it would be his last. This isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to inform you. You don't have to give up something that brings you peace, but you do need to respect your body's natural rhythms. Here's what I recommend. Wait. Give yourself at least an hour or 2 after waking up. Get out of bed, move around, hydrate. Let your body settle into the day. The heart is strongest when the system is fully awake, not when it's groggy and vulnerable. Remember, the early bird might get the worm, but the early climax, it might just come at a cost your heart can't afford. Let's keep going, because even if you avoid this early trap, there's another danger lurking, and it starts with something millions of seniors do first thing in the morning.
2. Right after taking blood pressure medications. The silent drop that could bring you down. Let me ask you something personal. Do you take blood pressure medication in the morning? Most of my older patients do. It's part of the routine. Wake up, take your pills, maybe have some coffee, maybe unwind a little.
But here's the part no one talks about. Masturbation, right after taking your blood pressure meds, can be a dangerous mix. Why? Because most of these medications are designed to lower your blood pressure and reduce strain on the heart, which is exactly what they do. But about 1 to 2 hours after you take them, the effect peaks. Your pressure can dip lower than you realize. Now combine that with sexual arousal, which also naturally lowers your blood pressure through a process called vasodilation. Your blood vessels widen, your heart pumps harder, and your brain might not get the oxygen it needs. The result? That's what we call the double drop. Your meds bring you down, intimacy brings you down further, and boom, sudden dizziness, fainting, or even blacking out. And let's be honest, most seniors don't exactly announce when they're doing this. So when a fall happens in the bathroom or bedroom, no one's around to help. I've treated men who've been found unconscious after just a harmless moment alone. Some suffered concussions, some ended up with broken bones. One, tragically, never regained consciousness. Now, I'm not saying you should stop your medication, heaven forbid. What I am saying is this: give your body time to adjust. Wait at least 2 hours after taking your meds before engaging in any form of self-pleasure. Let your pressure stabilize. Let your circulation normalize. That simple timing change could save your brain, your bones, or your life. Your body isn't a machine, it's a balance. And at our age, even the smallest shift can tip the scales. Now, even if your meds are managed perfectly, there's another danger waiting. This time, right after something you probably think is healthy and relaxing. Any guesses? Yep. Let's talk about hot showers.
Immediately after a hot shower, when heat meets heart risk. Now picture this. It's a cool morning. You step into a steaming hot shower. The water feels amazing. Your joints loosen up. Your muscles sigh in relief. You step out relaxed, and in that moment of calm, you might feel the urge for a little private release. But let me be crystal clear. That moment, right after a hot shower, is a cardiovascular trap. Why? Because heat changes everything. When you take a hot shower or bath, your blood vessels dilate. They open wide. That's why your face may look a little flushed and why your blood pressure drops. The heat pulls blood away from your brain and towards your skin to help you cool down. Now add sexual stimulation on top of that. You're asking your heart to ramp up when your circulation is already compromised. It's like trying to floor the gas pedal with no traction. You might make it, or you might spin out. I've had patients, real stories, not theories, who've passed out right after climax in the bathroom. Some fell, hit their heads, and didn't wake up until a spouse found them on the floor. Others had heart palpitations, arrhythmias. One man had to be shocked back into rhythm. The body was just overwhelmed. Too fast, too soon, too hot. Here's what I tell my patients. Give it time. After a hot shower, wait at least 30 to 45 minutes before any kind of physical exertion, including solo intimacy. Let your blood pressure recover. Drink some water, sit down, read, let your body come back to center. Then, if you still feel the desire and the clarity of mind, proceed with care. Because in our younger years, we bounce back from anything. But after 60, the bounce is slower. The cost of a mistake is higher. And speaking of timing mistakes, there's one more period in the day where a lot of older folks think they're playing it safe, late at night. But trust me, your body and brain may not agree. Ready to talk about late night risk? Let's keep going.
4. Late night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. When the mind slows down, but the risk rises. It's nearly midnight. The house is silent. The world has gone still. You're in your room, maybe sitting in bed, maybe lying awake, alone with your thoughts. It feels private. It feels safe. It feels like the perfect time. But here's what most people don't know. Your brain isn't at its best late at night. In fact, it's at one of its weakest points. Between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m., your mental sharpness, balance, and coordination drop significantly. For older adults, this decline is even more dramatic. Reaction time slow, decision-making falters. Your body doesn't respond the way it does during the day. Now imagine climax right at this low-functioning window. The heart rate spikes, blood pressure shifts, then the crash. A flood of relaxation hormones and a sudden drop in circulation. It's the perfect setup for falls, fainting, and confusion. I've had patients who stood up after late-night pleasure and fell hard. One man fractured his hip trying to get to the bathroom in the dark. Another passed out in the hallway. Both lived alone. Both waited too long for help. But the risk isn't just physical. Late night is also when emotional vulnerability creeps in. Loneliness, regret, sadness. These quiet companions love the dark hours, and they can lead to a pattern of using self-pleasure as a kind of emotional numbing. It feels good for a moment, but afterward, you may feel even more alone, more detached, and over time, that takes a toll not just on your heart, but on your soul. So here's my advice, plain and simple. Don't save intimacy for the night. If you want to honor your body and mind, choose daytime hours when your energy, cognition, and stability are at their best. The odds of injury are lower. The emotional clarity is higher. The peace you feel afterward is more complete. Remember, intimacy should lift you up, not bring you down. And now let's talk about something even more overlooked, something that sneaks up on nearly everyone: dehydration. It's common, it's quiet, and it makes the next mistake deadly fast. Shall we?
5. When dehydrated. Example, before breakfast. The dry trap that can bring you to your knees. Let me ask you something. When you wake up in the morning, do you reach for a glass of water? Or do you go straight to the bathroom, or back to bed, or somewhere else? If you're like most older adults, chances are you wake up mildly dehydrated. And that's not your fault. It's just biology. You've gone 6, 7, maybe 8 hours without water. Your blood is thicker. Your circulation is sluggish. Your brain is still rebooting. Now imagine adding sexual arousal and climax into the mix at that very moment. Here's what happens. As the body gets excited, blood vessels expand, vasodilation. Your blood pressure can drop. Your heart has to work harder. But if there isn't enough fluid in your system to support that shift, the result is what we call orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure that makes you dizzy, disoriented, or even unconscious. I've had patients who fainted after climaxing in the morning. One man collapsed between the bed and the bathroom door. He thought it was a stroke. Turned out, he just hadn't had a sip of water all night. Another gentleman blacked out mid-step and cracked a rib on the way down. The body just couldn't keep up. But here's the good news. This one's easy to fix. Hydrate before you stimulate. Drink a full glass of water, just 8 to 12 ounces, 15 to 30 minutes before any kind of intimacy, especially in the morning. This simple act gives your body what it needs to maintain stable blood pressure and deliver oxygen to your brain. I always tell my patients, keep a water bottle by the bed. It may be the cheapest life insurance you'll ever own. Your heart, your brain, your balance. They all depend on proper hydration, especially when you're doing something that elevates demand. And just when you think you've accounted for hydration, meds, and mood, there's one more trap, one that sneaks in after hours of stillness and hits hard when you suddenly decide to move. Let's talk about the hidden dangers of long periods of sitting or lying down. Ready?
6. After long periods of sitting or lying down, the stillness that sets you up to fall. Let's say you've been sitting for a while, watching a movie, reading the paper, maybe even just resting in bed after lunch. You feel relaxed, even a little bored. So you decide to get up, move around, maybe indulge in a quiet moment of pleasure. Seems harmless, right? But here's the catch. Your body doesn't like to go from 0 to 60 without a warm-up, especially after 60. When you sit or lie still for a long time, blood tends to pool in your legs and lower body. That's just gravity doing its thing. The problem is, once you suddenly shift positions or engage in something stimulating like masturbation, your heart has to work fast to redistribute that blood. And fast doesn't always mean safe. This is where many older adults experience orthostatic hypertension. Again, that sudden blood pressure drop when you change positions. But this time, it's worse because you're combining the shift from stillness with the vascular changes of arousal. I had a patient, Mr. Halbrook, retired Navy man, tough as nails, who passed out cold after moving from his recliner to the bathroom. Not because of exertion, but because he tried to go from restful to aroused too fast. He hit the tile hard, 3 cracked ribs. Another patient of mine had been binge-watching westerns all afternoon. He stood up, felt a little tingle, walked to his bedroom, and the next thing he remembered was waking up on the floor. Here's what I want you to take away. Stillness isn't rest when it's too long. It becomes risk. So before you engage in any form of intimacy after being seated or lying down, stand up slowly, move around gently, stretch your arms and legs, let your blood circulate again. Think of it as warming up the engine before taking the car on the road. Your heart and brain need that head start, because the fall doesn't come from weakness, it comes from surprise. And you deserve better than that. But now we arrive at what may be the most invisible danger of all. One that doesn't come from your heart, or your blood pressure, or your hydration. It comes from something deeper, your emotional state. Let's talk about that, the final chapter in this series, and perhaps the most important one. Ready for 7? During emotional vulnerability? 7. In moments of emotional lows, when it's not about joy, but about pain, that's when the risk becomes far greater. You see, healthy intimacy, even when it's just with yourself, should come from a place of peace, contentment, or connection. But when it comes from emotional pain, from loneliness, grief, or a hollow ache in the chest, that's when something tender can quietly become something harmful. Because when you're down, when the nights feel longer and the silence gets louder, it's tempting to reach for something comforting, something private, something you can control. But here's the truth I've seen again and again. When you use self-pleasure to numb emotional pain, the relief is fleeting, but the emptiness afterward can be deeper than before. Yes, orgasm releases dopamine. It feels good for a moment, but if that moment is built on sorrow, the chemical crash that follows can leave you feeling worse, more isolated, less connected. And over time, this quiet habit can start to erode your motivation, your joy, your desire to engage with the world. The danger isn't in the act, it's in the intention behind it. So before you move forward, take a pause. Ask yourself, gently but honestly, am I doing this because I feel alive or because I feel alone? If it's loneliness, don't silence it. Listen to it. Reach out. Talk to someone. Let someone in. Because the heart isn't meant to heal in the dark, and the most dangerous intimacy isn't physical. It's emotional detachment masked as relief. You're not broken. You're human. But when your actions are driven by pain instead of joy, your body often pays the price. Stress, fatigue, poor sleep, rising anxiety. Connection heals, distraction delays. So let's treat our emotional wounds with care, not cover them with silence. You're still allowed to feel pleasure, but more importantly, you're allowed to feel heard. Conclusion: a personal act that deserves awareness, not shame. Growing older doesn't mean giving up on pleasure, but it does mean listening more closely to your body and your heart. You've just learned the 7 riskiest times for seniors to engage in self-pleasure. And the truth is, none of these warnings are meant to frighten you. They're here to empower you. Because when done with awareness, at the right time, in the right mindset, this private act can still be a life-affirming, healthy part of your routine. But when it's done during moments of physical fragility, medication shifts, or emotional lows, the risks are real, and too often they're invisible until it's too late. So here's what I want you to take away. Respect the rhythm of your body. Hydrate, move slowly, and avoid rushing. Reflect on why you're doing it, not just when. And above all, don't treat loneliness with silence. Pleasure should come from joy, not sorrow. From connection, not coping. Now, if this video helped you see things a little differently, let me know. Drop a comment below with "I choose awareness" if you're walking this journey with wisdom. And if you think someone else needs to hear this, someone who might be suffering in silence, share it. You could be the reason they stay safe. And if you're new here, welcome to a space where we speak truthfully, compassionately, and without shame about aging, health, and the things that matter. Subscribe to the channel, tap the bell, and join us as we continue helping adults over 60 live longer, feel stronger, and love smarter. Because health doesn't stop at 60, and neither should your sense of self. We're in this together. Let's keep talking.